How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from tonight, which is January 18th, 2022. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match one, it was Adam Cole versus Khan. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Adam Cole went over with the boom. Well, after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed Adam Cole, and Tony Schiavone brought up that Adam Cole will be teaming with Britt Baker against the Best Friends, which are Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander, tomorrow night on AEW Dynamite. And Tony Schiavone also talked about how it was going to be a big match and everything, and then Adam Cole made Tony Schiavone get out of the ring, and then Adam Cole got the microphone and cut a promo talking about how Britt Baker was the greatest women's champion in AEW history, and how he himself is undefeated in AEW, and how both him and Britt Baker's careers in AEW are just getting started, and talked about how Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander were not on him and Britt Baker's level, and how they were laughing stocks no matter how hard they try to be great at what they do, but they fail because they're laughing stocks and everything. And then Adam Cole talked about how him and Britt Baker were going to kick Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander's asses on AEW Dynamite tomorrow night and everything as well. That was cool. Match 2, it was the Gun Club, which are Austin and Colton Gunn versus Laurentiz X and Bison XL. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, the Gun Club went over cause Colton Gunn pinned Laurentiz X with the sit-out powerbomb neckbreaker combination from Colton and Austin Gunn. Match 3, it was Layla Hirsch versus Catalina Perez. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Layla Hirsch went over with the running knee strike. Match 4, it was Lance Archer versus Liam Cross. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Lance Archer went over with the EBD claw. Match 5, it was the Varsity Blondes, which are Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, versus Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, the Varsity Blondes went over because Brian Pillman Jr. pinned Adrian Alanis with the jackhammer suplex. Well, after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed the Varsity Blondes, which are Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, along with Julia Hart, and Tony Schiavone brought up about the Varsity Blondes going up against the House of Black, which are Malachi Black and Brody King, tomorrow night on AEW Dynamite and everything. And then Griff Garrison was talking about how him and Brian Pillman Jr. were getting tired of the lights going on and off and everything, and Griff Garrison was talking about how him and Brian Pillman Jr. were going to kick Malachi Black and Brody King's asses and everything, and then Brian Pillman Jr. was saying, House of Black, the Varsity Blondes, we, the Varsity Blondes, are not afraid of violence. So you want violence? You got it. And everything. That was cool. Match 6, it was Red Velvet versus... Match 6, it was Red Velvet versus Vipress. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Red Velvet went over with the final slice. Match 7, it was Sky Blue versus Robin Renegade. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Sky Blue went over with the Inside Out Flatliner. Match 8, it was Anna Jay versus Tiffany Nieves. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Anna Jay went over with the Queenslayer. Match 9, it was Daniel Garcia versus Anthony Greene. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Daniel Garcia went over with the abdominal stretch. Well, after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, along with Daniel Garcia, and Tony Schiavone brought up that 2.0 and Daniel Garcia have been nothing but chaotic since they've been in AEW, and talked about how Daniel Garcia's been racking up wins and everything, and then Tony Schiavone named off Chris Jericho, Eddie Kingston, and others of 2.0 and Daniel Garcia's destruction and everything. And then Jeff Parker was saying, Tony Schiavone, the greatest announcer, the greatest commentator in the history of professional wrestling. I expected a better question, but I'll answer it. Yes, we have been on a path of destruction. But what are you and everybody else gonna do about it? And Matt Lee said, here's the thing, Tony. I have a question for Chris Jericho. Chris, how did it feel 6 weeks ago when we bashed your head in with a steel chair? Well, you cost Daniel Garcia his match against Sammy Guevara for the interim AEW TNT title. So, since you've done that, you're going to get what's coming to you, boy. And then Daniel Garcia was saying, this year, 2022, is going to be my year. And my goal is to be the AEW TNT champion. And I'm going to do everything it takes. I'm going to go through everybody I'll go through to get it. And all I've been hearing since I've been in AEW is great competitive match, great competitive match, great competitive match. Well, guess what? I don't give a shit about I don't give a shit about great competitive matches, but I am going to achieve my goal and be AEW TNT champion and everything. AEW TNT champion and everything. That was cool. Match 10, it was Bear Country, which are Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder versus Brandon Bullock and Jameson Ryan. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Bear Country went over because Bear Bronson pinned Brandon Bullock by the Bear Bomb from Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson. And match 11, which was the main event, it was the Best Friends, which are Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta, versus the Wingmen, which are Peter Avalon and J.D. Drake. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Best Friends went over cause Orange Cassidy pinned J.D. Drake with the Orange Punch. Now, there were no promos or segments throughout this episode of All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark. So, besides the matches, Taz and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. The referees for the event were Mike Posey, Rick Knox, and Paul Turner. Okay. Paul Turner refereed the match between Adam Cole versus Khan Mike Posey refereed the match between the Gun Club versus Laurentez X and Bison XL. Paul Turner refereed the match between Layla Hirsch versus Catalina Perez. Rick Knox refereed the match between Lance Archer versus Liam Cross. Mike Posey refereed the match between the Varsity Blondes versus Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray. Paul Turner refereed the match between Red Velvet versus Vipress. Mike Posey refereed the match between Sky Blue versus Robin Renegade. Mike Posey refereed the match between Anna Jay versus Tiffany Nieves. Paul Turner refereed the match between Daniel Garcia versus Anthony Greene. Paul Turner refereed the match between Bear Country versus Brandon Bullock and Jamison Ryan. And Rick Knox refereed the match between the Best Friends versus the Wingmen. All the referees did awesome as usual. And now the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite tomorrow night. It's going to be Sting and Darby Allin versus The Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. CM Punk versus Shawn Spears. FTR, which are Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, versus the Nightmare Family, which are Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson. The House of Black, which are Malachi Black and Brody King, versus the Varsity Blondes, which are Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus the Best Friends, which are Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander. And Serena Deeb versus Sky Blue. Those are the matches that have been announced. Now, besides the matches that have been announced, Cody Rhodes will be making his return to AEW, and Jon Moxley will be making his return to AEW. So, the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite tomorrow night looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from tonight, which is January 18th, 2022. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out. Peace out.